Then, things, okay.
It's good.
Yeah, you're on camera there, Tim. Being recorded as well. Hey, Gary, that was the reason.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have to be named the garage or something. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can get to our seats, you can remain standing. Just real quickly, Jim is a little under the weather today. He's got a hiccup, so he asked me to sub in for him today. It's not COVID, it's just a head cold. So we're gonna start out something a little different. Remember the Rotary motto?
Yes.
Sir,
There you go.
and let's do the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Alan, I bet you have a song for us.
I do have one. Great for following the pledge of allegiance. Page 5, America the Beautiful. I've always liked the song, and personal preference, I was kind of wish it was our national anthem. Okay?
All right.
Oh, beautiful for station size, or the birthplace of spring, for to see.
America.
His grace on thee, and the crown thy good with. From sea to shining sea, oh, you. That sees me of the years, but now I should sit his green on you. Oh, God his grace on thee, and crown thy good with. Sea to shining sea.
Very good, Alan.
Thank you. All right, and a real quick heads down prayer. Bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive. Amen. And please keep in our thoughts memories of ones we've lost in the past, and bless them, Lord, and have them by your side. All right, we have a guest speaker today. Her name is Serena Rubesh, and she'll be coming up a little bit later, talking to us about something we all got a big interest in: pain management. So, Serena, you're going to have a lot of attention here. And right now, what we want to do is
You missed something.
Go
This
ahead.
is Monica's sister.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, what we're gonna do right now, Serena, is we're gonna invite you, well, you
I
already got your lunch.
I
Phil already
took care of it.
All right.
Like, get it in
And-
now.
And the ladies and any guests, please be first in line for food today, followed up by the rest of the membership.
Okay, we're gonna go on pause here.
Walter.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, going to get started here. And we'll have Serena up here in a few minutes. Bill Murphy has a couple of words to talk about once he chooses to. Go ahead and chew your food. Reminder, Holly Carpenter is looking for ideas for guest speakers. So if you have some ideas, get in touch with her. Remember, she said she's going to turn in 5 happy dollars for every speaker we come up for her. We have 2 new members, Ken Buddha and Gary Ballard. Congratulations and welcome. And sometime in the near future, Holly will get with you and we have you present a short bio. Tell us all about yourself. She'll let you know when she schedules it. Let's see. All right, well, why don't we move on to Happy Dollar? Go ahead, Al, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So here's the opportunity we've all been waiting for to make a fashion statement in Cape Charles. Come out on February 11th to come and pick up highway litter on our Adopt a Highway program. You get to wear those fashionable orange vests that we all love so much.
Hey.
We're going to meet at the golf cart place at Fig and Stone Road. And it'll be February 11th. And rain date is February the 18th. And I'm going to pass this around to solicit volunteers. So now's your opportunity to.
This is your chance to do some trash talking.
Very, very good. Al, what time?
I have it set right now for 9. We're usually done by 11:30. And many hands make light work. So the more people, the quicker we can get it done.
And if anyone has in their car, they forgot to bring it in, some plastic bags, Libby's looking for some more donations, so don't forget about that. Go ahead.
The visible history represent the soft line of the February 28th,
Okay,
like the first Baptist church, everyone is invited.
all right.
What day was that again? February 28th, on 6 o'clock at the first Baptist church.
Dolores will make sure that's in the minutes of the meeting today.
Why don't you repeat it so it's in the record too?
Okay, I didn't hear all of it either myself.
Okay, the date is February 28th, 6 p.m. at First Baptist in Cape Charles.
Baptist or Methodist?
Baptist,
So that's the one that's on Nectarine.
yeah.
And Jefferson.
Okay, Bill's ready. He's got his mouth wiped. He's swallowing his food and he can talk now.
Spilling on the. Jim, Rich, who's not here today, has asked me to announce something that we talked about a little bit at board meetings recently. And that's the opt-in or opt-out program for meals. That was adopted, I don't know, about 7, 8 years ago. And it's kind of evolved over the year, and it started to have an impact really on the overall cost of lunch and budget, which Paul is doing some research on. We'll explain better later, not today. But Jim asked me to see if who in the membership would be interested in being on a committee to get together and discuss the opt-in, opt-out, and make recommendations to the board. We need to do something with that, but what, we don't know, and it's the kind of thing that should certainly be something that the membership has a voice in, because there's, I think, currently around 11 or maybe 12 people who opt out. And we've had requests. So if you'd like to have your voice heard, be a part of that committee, either let Jim Rich know or let me know. They'll be getting together a short meeting soon.
I will, since I'm on the membership committee, I'd like to understand it better.
Okay, sounds good then. All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, and let's see, why don't we hear about some happy dollars today? Who's got some happy dollars? Bill,
I have a happy dollar and I have an unhappy dollar. But first, the happy dollar. I am delighted that Walter is back. And I'm saddened because Jackie's in California. She's doing the baby right now. She said she couldn't be on.
And how many dollars was that?
What's that?
How many dollars was that?
Oh, it's a 10. It's 2, 5 and 5.
and for those that don't know, Walter makes an annual pilgrimage out to Colorado for a stay out there. And he kind of overlaps it into the winter time. So more power to you with that. Go ahead, Libby.
So I have $5, happy dollars, and I'm just adding on what you said. We are at 105 pounds today on plastic, and that will add some more. So we're on a good track to collecting our 500 pounds for the Trek Challenge. Just a general reminder, plastic bottles do not go in with this. I was lucky to find 2 last week, so just
Strap those in.
Not me.
so if it stretches, it doesn't matter what color it is, doesn't matter if it has a label on it, if it stretches, we can use it. And as a thank you, well, that's why the cookies are there, because of the, our first goal has been met. Oh, I see a hand, or is that?
Go ahead, Paul.
Oh,
I've got $5 because Libby brought chocolate chip cookies.
I'm scouting them out. Oh, I see them. Okay. Any other happy dollars? Walter,
I'm happy to be back. This is $10 happy. Happy to be back with my friends here. That's one thing I'm happy about. I'm also happy to report that Charlie Dickinson is home. And I was with his wife on Sunday. And she says that he's got a brace on his leg that is so big that the only pants he can wear are pajamas. Well, he seems to be doing better and coming right along.
oh, that's good. That's good news.
Yep.
Was he alone in the car when it happened?
Yes, if she had been with him, she would not be with us.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had heard it was a pretty bad accident.
Yeah, well, I saw pictures.
oh.
Well, I'm glad he's doing well. I'm sure he'll be up and around and kicking some butt in no time. Okay, any more happy dollars?
Yeah, I got these.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a couple of happy dollars. One also I had the fact that Walter's back. I've seen him since he's been back, but it's good having him back here. And the other happy dollar I have is for Alan Burton. Every week, he stands up there and leads that song and sings with such enthusiasm, that it makes me try to sing. Which I hope. So we would sound flat indeed if we didn't have Alan to lead us. So that at least that's happy dollar for that. So thank you.
All right, I'll say this, he's in my range too. Bill Payne's a little bit too high for me.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
Everybody's got their range. Okay, any more happy dollars?
Anybody have perhaps to take scraps of scraps?
All right, why don't we go ahead and do the card? The card drawing, hold up your highest card. Let's see who wins this week's pot.
I don't think
We
we
got-
got hold it up.
Not even worth holding this up. Got an ace of clubs over here.
Al.
Cards.
You live?
Looks like ace of
Oh.
clubs.
Don't even have to get up there. I'll even. I gave him over.
So. Al wins. We collected $27 today. Al wins 7 of that.
All right.
All right. You can
And,
buy a dozen eggs with that.
There you go.
yeah, right. And he gets to choose a card from our gradually decreasing deck. And if it's the Queen of Hearts, he wins the pot, which is over $60 now.
Ooh.
Not
Nope.
Queen of Hearts.
All right.
Rip it up.
All
All right.
right.
Now you rip that
Well,
out.
he gets
Rip it
$7 anyway.
This one gets.
Tear that up.
Right.
You have to tear it in half.
It's big.
There you go.
Oh, no, it's
Okay, do we have, anybody else have any announcements they want to bring up? Okay, if not, we're gonna bring up Serena Rabesh. She's our guest speaker today, and I didn't realize it, but for those who remember,
Monica.
yeah, Monica.
Monica Bridgeport.
Yeah, Monica Bridgeport, former president of the club and member. This is her sister. So she works doing acupuncture up in Exmoor.
Delhi.
Okay.
Mhm.
And she's going to talk to us a little bit about the overall experience with acupuncture, and I'm sure what we're going to hear and pay attention to the most is pain relief. So
Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. So, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate you opening this up for me. Yes, I am Monica Bridgeport's sister, and hopefully I won't always just stay that. So I'm gonna do my best to be my own person here, okay? Make a little distinction.
Jim Rich.
Even though Bill told me that nobody here is in a hurry, I don't want to talk your ear off because I can. I love what I do. I absolutely love it. And I could talk forever. And so if I start going too long, please shut me down. You know, I'll notice, get a little restless, or just do this or this. Okay, or something. So first of all, about me. I just moved here to the shore last summer, inadvertently. I was in South Florida, was practicing and living in South Florida, near Palm Beach Gardens. And I was supposed to be on Grand Cayman. Something went wrong and I ended up here. But so once I got here, I was like, you know, I like it. I think I can stay here. So I ended up staying here, opening up my practice in Bellhaven in August. And I'm actually loving it. I did know the shore a little bit before in 2005. So I was here before. My sister and I actually ran a little business, Abergadoodle, art education for children aged 2 through 12 for a while. And then after a few years, I ended up leaving, and this is a later career for me. I ended up studying acupuncture and oriental medicine, and loved it and have never looked back. One of the things I really like, we're talking about education, is that this is a never ending series of education. I always learn more with every single patient, with every CEU I take, and I love it. About the education right now, the way it is that it's a 4-year program condensed into 3 years, usually, depending where you go. And there are about, depending on the school and the criteria that they're living up to, or at what standard they have, there's anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 hours of practical experience. Okay, so we aren't let loose from the general public without some practice there. Our curriculum also, aside from the fundamentals of traditional Chinese medicine, we do have a lot of Western medicine in there, obviously a lot of safety and ethics. So they make sure we know what we're doing before we can treat the general population. I've been treating patients for about 7 years and have been running my own practice for 4.5 years now. Okay. I don't know how much everybody knows or doesn't know about acupuncture and Chinese medicine or East Asian medicine. I'm just going to use acupuncture, but one, what I do is not only acupuncture, okay? Chinese medicine or traditional Chinese medicine, East Asian medicine has a lot of different modalities. Yes, we use acupuncture and I love acupuncture, but there is also Chinese herbal formulas, which is really the powerhouse of this medicine. There is a huge materia medica, thousands of different herbs and minerals and animal products that are used, and they're always used in combination, so they are incredibly safe, and they're very effective and rather cost effective too. Okay. So there's formulas, there's acupuncture, there's also what's called Tui Na, or it's a body work type of thing. I don't really do that, but it's very effective. A lot of people say that is the basis or where chiropractors pulled a lot of information from Tui Na. It's a combination between a type of massage and some adjustments. Okay. Then there's also modalities such as cupping or gua sha. I think a lot of people with Michael Phelps and some other movie stars, they see those round cupping marks, right? That is one form of cupping, but there are a lot of different types of cupping that doesn't always leave those marks. For instance, there's a facial rejuvenation acupuncture program that helps reduce lines, helps increase collagen and elastin, and it uses cupping and gua sha on the face. And obviously you can't have those round marks on the face if you want repeat business at least. Okay. So there's a lot more to it. So when you hear that somebody does acupuncture, it's usually, I use it as a shorthand, okay? Because it's hard to say, I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And they're like, huh? Okay. So acupuncture has been around for a long time. And yet there's still so few of us in comparison to Western medical doctors that the majority, probably, who here has ever had acupuncture? 2, 3. Okay. So it's really not that widespread, even though it's been around for so long, right? And so I think all of us, we might have heard something or seen something in a movie. I think quite a few of my patients come in and they're like, I've never had it, but I saw it. Who was it? Seagal with all these acupuncture needles and or the moxa, right? Moxa is another thing. And so we really don't have a true understanding of what it is. Don't worry, I'm not going to go into the entire theory of it. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you. But there are a few things I do want to talk about. One, it's a very, yes, is that a question? Oh, sorry. Acupuncture is highly individualized, and it's a very patient-centered medicine. Okay. Every single patient, I don't work off of a diagnosis, let's put it that way. If somebody comes to me and says, I have hypothyroid, right? Okay, great, but let's understand what your underlying pattern is. That's how we work, okay? Because, or even if it's back pain, okay? Back pain is not back pain. Just because you may have low back pain, 5 people have low back pain, but there might be a different underlying root cause according to how we look at health. And that will determine how I treat. Okay. So it's not a protocol-driven medicine. It's very individualized to who you are and where you are today. Okay. What that also allows me to do is really get to the root of something. Okay. In East Asian medicine, it's the idea that health and happiness is a matter of our chi or our energy flowing smoothly in a balanced way. Okay. Seems simple, right? But throw in life. Okay. Unfortunately, somebody had a car accident, right? Physical trauma will stop that flow. The other thing that we take into account in acupuncture are strong emotions, right? A strong emotion will also change that flow. Maybe it won't be balanced or maybe blocked somewhere, okay? And then it can, if it's not taken care of, that blockage can affect its neighbor, right? Or the neighboring area, leading to more blockages, leading to less happiness or more pain. And so the spiral goes, okay? So it's a very interconnected, it's very much a holistic view that we take of the body and that everything is connected. So the beauty of that is that once I've identified a pattern and have been able to work on that, you may notice that several symptoms clear up, right? So it's what we talk about as the root or branches, okay? The branches are the symptoms and the root is the root imbalance. And if we're just chasing symptoms, right, we may get to one branch and then the other, right? But if the roots aren't taken care of, that's going to cause more branches to pop up, okay? And that's where we're trying to get to the root of everything, okay? And so, I'm going to try to pull myself back because this is too much fun. All right. One of the things, it may seem simplistic how we view things with these patterns that we look for, because I don't know if anybody who hasn't had acupuncture before has heard some of the patterns we look at. They may be dampness or liver qi stagnation or heart heat, right? So they sound very simplistic. But the beauty of it is that they are simple, but they can account for a lot of very complex issues. Okay. And yes, we use terms like dampness, wind, heat, dryness, like you see out in nature. And we use the same things here. I think everybody understands if you see somebody with an edema, right, a swelling, right, where it's like soft, right? That's pretty obvious that you can understand that's dampness, right? And we need to move it out. It's kind of being blocked like you dam a river, right? Once you get rid of the blockage, things can flow better. So that's a little bit of how we see things, okay? So most of what I do is actually translating because I tend not to speak in TCM terms or traditional Chinese medicine terms. But it is kind of fun when you know somebody comes in who may be dealing with dizziness and say, oh, it's a really windy day, right? It's kind of fun, but I do know how to translate into Western medical terms or things that we are more familiar with. Okay. So a couple other fun things. There are over 300 acupuncture points on the body. Okay. Closer to 365, and then there's some extra points that we call, and we call them extra points because, and I didn't bring my little figure with me, but has anybody heard of the meridians or channels in acupuncture? So the majority of these points lie on what are called meridians or channels, depending on how you want to think about them. They're not associated with any other system in the body. They're energetic channels. And for instance, just one of them, it's called the bladder meridian or urinary bladder meridian, starts right here, okay, goes up over the head, down back here, on the back of the, may I have a model, please?
Stick some needles over there.
So it starts up here, goes up, and they're always bilateral, okay? So it goes up, I'll just do one side, traces it down. On the back, it splits into two lines, goes all the way down the back, okay? Keeps going down here, comes together into one by the back of the knee, and then goes all the way down and down to the end of the little toe. Okay, that's just one of the channels. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You a better Bill?
And then, so one channel, there's the lung channel, there's the pericardium channel, heart channel, etc. Flows into the lung channel, flows into what's called the large intestine channel, right? And then that flows into the next one and the next one. And so it's a whole circuit through the body that crisscrosses the entire body. And the channels are named according to the organ system to which they connect. All right. And the interesting thing about the organ systems and the channels is, right, I can use the channel where it flows, right? So for instance, if somebody comes to me with back pain, you saw where the bladder channel runs, right? I think if anybody here has back pain, you saw exactly where it runs through where you were feeling it, right? So I can use points up here. I can use points by your ankles, okay, by your knee, to activate the channel and get to your back pain. That's the beauty of the channels. And then how they connect, I can use those connections, right? So I can use a connecting channel, the one that for the bladder channel, to affect the bladder channel, right? Depending on what's going on. So this is a little bit of the art of this medicine, okay? And the internal organ systems, and I try to say organ systems because we're not talking about We'll ask,
Later.
do a regular intake, get medical history, and then I'll look at your tongue. There's a lot that I can find out on the tongue. I'm looking for the color of the tongue, the shape of the tongue, the coating of the tongue, and also the sublingual veins. The tongue is one of the only muscles in the body that's not covered by skin, right? So I can see, and it shows me what's going on internally, right? And the front of the tongue is the top of the abdomen, or the top of the torso, right? The middle of the tongue is through here, and the back of the tongue are the organ systems down here. And it's really fascinating. You know, and I think all doctors used to look a little bit more at what's going on with the person, right? We just keep doing that, right? I also take your pulse in a very specific way. You know, yes, I will roughly pay attention to if it's rapid or slow, because that tells me certain things, right? But I'm looking at your pulse at 3 spots, okay? I'll do it on both sides. So right along here, 3 different positions at 3 different levels on both sides, okay? And again, that tells me what's going on internally, okay? Gives me information about what your pattern is, right? So those are some of the strange or different things that I do that other doctors don't necessarily do, okay? Another thing that I really like to point out is that acupuncture, because we are generally the last, you know, we're the last
Resort.
we're the last resort, yes. Yeah. Right. I tend to have to deal with a lot of chronic issues, and acupuncture works really well at that. Okay, chronic pain. Like you know, my doctor said all I can do is last resort is surgery, but I don't really want surgery on my back, right? I've had pain for 15 years, right? That's a very typical thing that I get to deal with. Works really well. The brilliance, though, of acupuncture is that it is a great preventive medicine. It could be a great part of your daily routine to stay healthy. That's what I'd love to get to, okay? Just like you don't start exercising, you don't start eating nutritionally once you have issues, but unfortunately that's where we are in our society, okay? But that's just my dream. I'd like to change that someday, that we all work to stay healthy, right? Like I think there's that, you know, in a Chinese emperor, their physician was there to keep them healthy, right? And they would get paid as long as that emperor stayed healthy, you know, and that would be a better way to, but acupuncture is great for that. One question I get a lot is, first of all, not the people who've had acupuncture, but I'd love to hear, when you think of a needle, just a needle, when you hear a needle, what do you think of?
Pain.
Pain, okay, pain. What else do you think of?
Sure.
Sharp, anything else? What needle are you thinking of?
Injection.
Exactly, a hypodermic, right? So, just for comparison, and there are different size needles of acupuncture needles that I use. This is an image comparing a hypodermic to acupuncture needles. Okay.
Yeah.
I can fit about, depending on which needle I use, I can fit about 12 to 16 of my needles in that same size as the hypodermic.
Oh.
Okay. So just so you can see the difference. Okay. And the other major difference is that a hypodermic is by nature hollow, right? It's there to either put something into your body or take something out, right? That's not what an acupuncture needle is. An acupuncture needle is what's called a filiform needle. It's solid. So anybody who's ever used a safety pin or a needle knows that when you use that going through some cloth, it kind of just goes right through it, right? That's the difference between a hypodermic and an acupuncture needle also, not just the size, but the size makes a big difference, right? It's 1/16 maybe, right? And it doesn't stamp a hole out of your skin. Okay. And ultimately, another little thing is ultimately it's basically the size of a cat's whisker, right? And you're not afraid of this, are you? Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna say you don't feel them, right? Depending on where I put them, you may feel them, but it's generally not painful. Okay. All right. I don't know if you're aware that in 2003, the World Health Organization, or the WHO, they published a review of clinical trials of acupuncture. It's called Acupuncture Review and Analysis of Reports on Controlled Clinical Trials. And that review endorses the use of acupuncture for over 200 symptoms and diseases. Okay. That was 20 years ago. Okay. And the US National Institutes of Health issued a consensus statement proposing acupuncture as a therapeutic invention for complementary medicine, right? And in, when was it, I can't remember now. 2019, all medical practitioners are required actually to recommend for things like back pain, are required to recommend first some kind of complementary treatment, such as chiropractic, massage, or acupuncture before they prescribe any kind of opioids.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. In 2013, in Minnesota, I believe, the emergency departments ran, in one hospital, they ran a pilot study offering to any people coming in with pain that they can either get acupuncture to help reduce their pain while they're being seen, or opioids. A large portion of people chose acupuncture, and over that year, and actually they continued the study for 2 years at least, they reduced the amounts of opioids they used at the hospital and that they prescribed to go home by a drastic amount. Okay, and I don't think I need to remind anybody about the still ongoing effects of the opioid crisis. There are other options. Okay, so yes, this is a lot about pain management, right? And I would like to say before we get to it also, okay, to prevent any kind of pain. So I also would like to now point out, right, 200 different ailments and diseases. There's a lot more that we can deal with, not just pain, right? One of the things that I focus on are the emotional aspects. It's what I enjoy and what I see a huge impact with. We have, the pandemic was horrible, right? It affected every single one of us and businesses, and we're still recovering from it. One of the ways that it helped us in that sense, in a bad way, overshoot the forecasts of levels of anxiety in our society and worldwide. We're like over 30 years ahead of what the forecast is. The levels of anxiety are phenomenally high. And it's a huge problem because anxiety, stress, trauma, all these emotional things impact our health, impact how we relate to each other, impact everything, right? Acupuncture is one of the best ways to, one, deal with stress, to help someone de-stress, and it works really well at helping to manage and bring down levels of anxiety. Okay. If we have any doctors in here, acupuncture really is one of the best ways to downregulate the sympathetic nervous system, right? So if our system is stressed, right? That fight or flight, right? The sympathetic, right? We are not able to focus on, our system isn't able to focus on sleeping well. How many people deal with insomnia, right?
Yeah.
Our digestive system, right? Digestive disorders are through the roof. IBS, Crohn's. I mean, everybody knows the names of them, right? Because there's such a problem, right? If we can help the system calm down, often that calms down too, right? Fertility, right? If your system is very stressed, you're worrying about, the system's not worrying about reproduction, right? Many IVF clinics are hiring acupuncturists because they're helping their success rates, okay? And the immune system is also, with the parasympathetic, right, is also not a focus, right? If we are facing dangers in life, that proverbial tiger, we're not going to worry about, you know, cleaning up the cells a little bit, right? Because our whole being is threatened, supposedly, right? So the immune system is not only fighting off viruses, bacteria, it's also about cleaning up the system, right? Making sure that any dead or dying cells are taken out of the system and so that it can be replenished, right? So if we're talking about aging, right? Or like, I'm a very visual person, so I kind of see it like streaks, the trash removal is taken care of, right? No one wants to live like that, right? But if we're constantly in the sympathetic or the stress response, that's where we're living, inside of us, okay? So acupuncture can help with that a lot. And as I said, with anxiety, I've had great results with some people who have eczema, for instance, right? One person I worked with, young guy, 24 years old, had eczema as a baby, as an infant already, had asthma, right? Kind of cleared up a little bit in his teenage years and then came back with a full force when he started after college, when he started working, right? Poor thing, all over his face, hands, everything, right? Just about 5 treatments of acupuncture, we got the anxiety down, started clearing up, we're able to deal with the gut, right? And he's doing great, right? So, as I said, I don't want to bore you, but are there any questions? Yes.
You brought it up, for chronic degenerative disease, arthritis.
Yes.
So if you're into it a number of years and you're looking at joint replacements, is acupuncture or any of your treatments going to avoid that from eventually having to happen, or is it something that you would have the joint replaced and then get acupuncture to help with the healing afterwards?
Yes. Yes.
To both.
So it depends, right? I'm not one, I'd probably undersell a lot, right? But it really depends. It depends at what stage, and it depends also at the frequency we can do something, okay? For instance, in China, this is part of their healthcare system, right? And if you're going in for something more serious or more chronic, right, you can get treatments in the hospital there every day, right? The frequency sometimes matters a lot, right? Some of the studies that they do in acupuncture, you can see they're talking about at least 2 or 3 treatments a week, right? So that's why I say it depends. Because acupuncture is generally not covered by insurance, right? And I'm not in network with any. Some plans do cover out-of-network practitioners.
That was actually another question I was going to ask.
Yeah. Not everybody has the resources for it, right? It's just as simple as that. Certain things you don't necessarily need the frequency, right? Like once a week is great. So it depends on a lot of different factors. It depends on how willing someone is also to take a look at their diet and exercise and the rest of their lifestyle, right? Because what I do does not happen in a bubble, okay? And yes, somebody can come to me and say, okay, I'm coming to you, this is when I'm taking care of it, and other than that, I'm leaving my life. That's fine, but I will make recommendations, and the more you can do on your own with lifestyle, the better results you'll have. Okay, because I don't see it as anything I'm doing to you, but we're working together to regain and then maintain your health. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Bill, you had a
I
question?
had the insurance
The
question.
insurance question,
Yeah.
yes. A lot of good group policies do now cover acupuncture, but it's important to look at, do they have specifications as to for what issues they will cover? And of course, you know, in my case, will they cover it if it's from an out-of-network provider? And how many treatments a year, etc. Okay, but there are some, and there are some, I'm still figuring out the policies in Virginia. In Florida, I knew that better. Okay.
When you say that they go down the bottom, how do you know exactly where they are with pin goes? I mean, there's no dotted line for it.
So
How do you know it's what in the right spot?
yeah, good question. So we did spend a lot of time learning every single point. Okay, so not only, you know, did we learn it theoretically, but very practically. And we had to understand it very practically. And there are things that I'm feeling for, right? And because yes, I can learn it theoretically, exactly where each point is, but then it might be slightly different for you, Chuck,
Yeah.
than for you, right? But this system is really interesting. They use a measure called a tsun, okay? And it's based on each person. So each person has their own tsun measurement based on the size of your hand. So it's really fascinating. So as you can tell, our hands are not the same size, right? So when I'm looking for your stomach 36, I would use your hand size and go down that far, okay? So, and on my leg, it would be that far, okay? Does that answer your question? And with one little fun fact in Japan, because Japanese acupuncture, they took it in their own direction, right? There's also Korean, there are different styles, there are different methods, all different, right? But all using the wisdom of the body. In Japanese acupuncture, traditionally, it's no longer the case, but traditionally the acupuncturists were blind. And so once you start getting that sense, you can find the points even better because you can feel them. Good question.
I don't think I'd want somebody with a bunch of needles. Not
And I think at the time, that might be exactly who you wanted to. Yeah, yes.
You said there's a flow. Now, is that a continuous throughout the body? And you can pick it up at any spot?
Yeah, great question. Yes, and it's not as if it's just one thing moving through the body, right? It's continuously, it's always circulating, just like our blood, okay? So the energy's flowing through our body. And yes, the flow that I was referring to meant from, for instance, the lung channel. I don't need this anymore. The lung channel starts here. Has anybody ever felt like if you move your shoulder forward, there's a little indentation right here? That's where the lung channel starts. And it goes down through here to your thumb. And then internally, it picks up the large intestine channel that goes up this way, right? And this is the flow that the energy follows, okay? And that's how it circulates all throughout. Another fun fact is we all know about the circadian rhythm, right? We've all heard that 12-hour cycle, right? In physics, they're now talking about a 2-hour cycle, right? And I've forgotten the name of it, but this is in more with quantum mechanics, right? So it's not It's not the physics that most of us learn in school. They're talking about a 2-hour cycle of energy in our system. And this is where East meets West, because in traditional Chinese medicine, each of the organ systems has their time, right? When they are most active, okay? So for instance, from 7 to 9 in the morning is our stomach organ system. And so the majority of the flow of energy is focused on that, right? Or from 11 to 1 is the liver organ system. So that's why lying down or sleeping by 11 to 12 is really good, because it helps your liver organ system do all of its detox. And those are always the 2-hour cycles. So I'm sure I've got, I'm out of time, yeah.
I think there was one more question. What's the physiology when you're punctured with the needle?
Yeah.
In the channel?
Yeah.
What's it?
Yeah, good question, good question. A lot more research is still necessary, but more and more research is coming out as we're able to measure these things, okay? So there are a few different effects. The one effect, most definitely, is local, okay? As we are puncturing the skin, we are causing the system to mount an immune response. Okay, so we're activating your immune system. Okay, so there's a local effect. And there are, for instance, this point right here, Hagu, has a name, all the points have names and numbers. So for the Westerners, we have numbers, Li4. It's one of the most studied points, and it's the major analgesic point of the body. Okay. They have been able to do functional MRIs while this point is being needled. And so every single point goes to a specific part of the brain. And for instance, this point, since it's in that well studied, basically what it does is it gets your brain to send out, well, first it increases your pain tolerance, right? Sends out your own system's opioids, right? So you get that response of reducing pain internally, right? And a few other neurotransmitters. So we're still trying to figure out, right, with more and more studies, and as I said, the ability to measure these things, because all of these things are happening in a realm that we haven't been able to measure yet, right? We just feel the effects. And so it's been a little challenging saying, well, just experience it, right? Well, for how long do I need to experience it, right? So that's where we have the years of case studies, and there are a ton of experiments out there and a lot of good research and we're getting to show more and more of what's happening. Did that answer that? At least in a.
Okay, just to let you know, everybody's got Serena's business card. So if some follow-up questions pop into your mind, I'm sure Serena would not mind hearing from you, either by phone or email with any questions you may have. Serena, really appreciate you coming today. And we work with Dolly Parton book club that she sends out to children. And they're great. And we always make sure that the speakers that we have come visit us will get a mention in the books that she sends out to the parents. And we will do that with your business card.
I love it.
And we really appreciate you coming by today.
Thank you so much.
And I always say hello to mine.
Will do. Thank you so much for your attention. Appreciate it.
All right, if I can get everybody to please stand up. We're gonna do number one.
Is it the truth?
Number two.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Number three.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And number four.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And Stan, you're here today, so you're gonna do number five.
Will we have fun?
Yes.
Chuck, do you have a bear over there? I'm sorry. You get the new members.
Yeah.